Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, and this is my re-review for the Resident Evil 4 Remake. So now viewers, this particular video game originally released in 2023. A year I remember fondly as the year I played a hell of a lot of video games. But we are not here to talk about just any old video game. We are here to talk about Resident Evil 4 Remake. And just like that beautiful bearded bastard Barry Burton, you're probably wondering,
what is this?
The Resident Evil 4 Remake is rather, unsurprisingly, a remake of Resident Evil 4 that released all the way back in 2005. And this is once again a survival horror action game thingamajig in which we play as Leon S. Kennedy, who must save Ashley Graham, the daughter of the US president, from a mysterious cult in rural Spain. Now, of course, I probably didn't have to tell you any of that, since this game is probably more popular than Jesus is. But it wouldn't be one of my reviews without me wasting a considerable amount of your time thinking that I'm funny, blessing you with my own personal anecdotes, and above all else, talking complete and utter bollocks. Speaking of talking bollocks, let's review this video game the only way I know how, badly. And let's start with what I absolutely love about Resident Evil 4 Remake. One of the most obvious things is the game's visuals, with this lovingly running on Capcom's Resident Evil engine. So this has the same high quality visuals as Resident Evil Biohazard, Village, the Resident Evil 2 Remake, the Resident Evil 3 Remake, and most recently, Resident Evil Requiem. The game's story has also been lovingly updated here, and in my personal opinion is far superior to the original, especially in Leon's relationship with Ashley, who actually feels like a real character here, and not a complete pain in my ass like she was in the original. Other fantastic characters like Ada, Luis, Krauser also get expanded screen time here, especially Ada and Luis. Luis was always a character I really enjoyed in the original game, but here, he's funny, he's endearing, he even fights alongside us for a significant chunk of one of the game's chapters, and his untimely demise here is far more tragic than it was in the original. And if there's anything I love in my video games, it's tragedy and gratuitous nudity, but mostly tragedy. Ada also gets her own DLC in the form of Separate Ways, which essentially shows us what Ada, and even Luis to a certain degree, were doing during Leon and Ashley's hijinks. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this might be the best DLC for a Resident Evil game ever made. Unlike the original Separate Ways with the original Resident Evil 4, which essentially just had you playing as Ada and running through a lot of the same areas that you already did as Leon, this version of the DLC has its own cutscenes, its own unique boss fights, there's some unique areas for Ada to go through, and it gives more context to the original game's ending, and even leads into the events of Resident Evil 5 very nicely. Also means when you finish the main game, you can jump straight into the DLC. And I'm not lying when I say that the main game is probably one of the longer entries in the Resident Evil franchise. So you're getting plenty of bang for your buck here. But of course, I'm probably not telling any of you anything you didn't already know. You also get the very infamous minigame Mercenaries mode completely free with this now. And while I don't play it myself, from what I hear, Resident Evil fans really enjoy it. So visuals, tick. Plenty of content, tick tick. Blended updates to the original game's story, tick tick tick. The original Resident Evil 4 was probably known for being the first more action-focused Resident Evil game, and in my book that makes it one of the most enjoyable to play through. And of course it probably goes without saying that all the action we know and love from the original is present and correct here. And in fact is probably better than the original. Ashley controlling a wrecking ball, riding a jet ski, the infamous boss fight in the lake in which you're controlling a speedboat, running through an underground cavern thing as the bloody thing is collapsing on itself. In Ada's DLC, you get to use a grappling hook a la Batman, and that makes traversal incredibly fun. Speaking of incredibly fun, all the boss fights from the original game have been completely reimagined here, and are even better than they were originally. There's even a couple of extra boss fights thrown in for good measure, including an additional encounter with Krauser. In a nutsack, what I'm trying to say here, dear viewers, is that absolutely everything you know and love from the original has been completely revamped here. And for the better, in my opinion. These modern Resident Evil games truly are glorious. And I have absolutely no hesitation in declaring that the Resident Evil 4 Remake is a masterpiece. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Another re-review by yours truly. If you enjoyed this little video of mine, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, well then feel free to give me a thumbs down. But please remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed with gaming. Are you still here? Oh, you must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.